Okay, we have one final block to finally get to the end of this saga. We've gone through adventures of destroying copies, gods, and utter destruction, and we've gone and seen relationships grow with two girls. But most importantly, we've gone through the Slayers games, and holy hell, a lot of copies were there. You may think that this may be heaven, but watching the last part, this seems like hell. But now, once and for all, before we actually get to the end of this, we have to take a side series that is known as Lost Universe. And if you're someone that doesn't know why I have to take this quick little side tangent, well, it's a sister series. And I have to explain a couple things before we actually talk about the anime. I weirdly never talked about the depth of this whole series. My bad. I gave a brief enough summary to kind of get everyone up to speed of where it was, but I never really fully put my fingers into everything. With the creator of the series, Hajime Zaka. With one day, out of a whim, he submitted a light novel that would be talking about what this series is about, and he would actually win that contest. And with that success, he would actually negotiate his way to actually getting a side series out of Slayers, in which being Lost Universe. Let's put a nice bow on things. He was a fan of fantasy and the sci-fi genre, and so you might as well let him get something done with his other interests of sci-fi. Well, is it still Slayers but just in space, or does it carve its own thing with their own ideas? And well, to give a little bit of spoilers, there's a lot of things that I'm gonna have to explain, but it will make sense down the line of why we have to watch this. And well, we actually get a pretty good introduction to our three main characters of this story. Our main one, Kane, Canal, and then Billy. She strangely reminds me of one of the gunsmith cats.
Hey, do you need me to help you with anything? Just stay in the car. Why should I?
Maybe, just maybe, it reminds me of their name, image, and likeness, or it's just a thing with blonde characters.
Why can't you stop making messes in this shit?
In which, in the first episode, we actually see that Billy's actually investigating an auction at a black market, in which Kane just out of nowhere suddenly appears and he actually gets pieces of the job done, in which by Kane's shenanigans and charming ways of winning situations would actually save her, and for the most part, as you can see, yeah, she got fired for all of that happening, in which Billy just decides, you know what, you took my job, I'm going to join you up because guess what, I have no money. In which that's how pretty much most of the first episodes are with this series. It's usually something happens, they investigate, shit happens, and they get something done.
How did he know it was us?
A lot of times happening with the Swordbreaker, and a lot of times it's either Canal just doing antics or assisting with everything. It's pretty much just the dynamics of things with this, in which we actually meet the person that actually gives Kane these assignments, and that is Rail. Rail to me really just gives off that retro Star Trek vibe. I don't know if it's just me, but I definitely got feelings of speaking like William Shatner. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I can definitely tell, especially with the English dub, that they did think of him with this character. And of course you have the girl by his side, Nina, in which I'm just being real with you when I say this. Nina is not really an important character. She's definitely part of the plot and actually helps out, but I'm just being honest when I say this, she's just there. That also makes me have to talk about what Kane is. Well, Kane is actually a troubleshooter, and in the simplest of ways, a troubleshooter is pretty much a privateer. They are pretty much, or at least have some basic knowledge of world history of what a mercenary is, or even a hired gun, or watch something like Cowboy Bebop or Outlaw Star. Yeah, pretty much get the point of everything I'm just saying here. I think what I do like about these early episodes is that part of it, is the world building that it does. It does bring a lot of things into it, and especially with these lost ships. And in the simplest of terms, right now, we just know them as these strong battleships out of anything. And trust me, it gets serious down the line with these lost ships. But let's talk about dynamics.
You would.
Because I definitely like this pairing of these three. You got the hot-headed Millie, the childlike wonder of Kane, and then you have the motherly figure in Canal. I think what they wanted to do was accentuate those personalities, but one of the things that does happen here is
I need to find out who killed my pal Jess!
Look in the universe! Huh? Oh, don't be silly. Those stories are just fairy tales.
yeah, I would say that they kind of get annoying at some points. Listen, it's not that I find Kane annoying or Millie to be things. And especially you can notice that with Millie saying this phrase.
A detective in the whole universe! The best in the universe! Best in the universe!
I get it, Millie, I agree with you, but I will say this, if you say it one more time, I'm going to punch my TV when watching this. But actually see that they have character and depth. I may sound like I'm flanderizing them with how I'm critiquing them here, but it's not like that. You definitely see Millie does have a lot of pieces of her personality where, as annoying that she is, she does care. And as Kane can be childish, Kane can lock in and get stuff done. And while I think Canal is sweet. And that also brings it to one thing. Holy hell, these visuals are really season 1 Slayers. And that's not really the biggest critique I can give about this, because it does have a lot of things that I do like, because I can definitely see where the budget went. The budget went to some of the CGI scenes. I'm sure I found a couple of them and splicing them here, but holy hell. Sometimes when I look at these characters, they either look like that they didn't have enough time to finish painting them, and it's not in the way I'm saying like they look like Evangelion, no, but I'm saying in the way of that they looked so saturated that they just called it a day of what they had. And I can totally get with not having them get the budget that something like Slayers, Next, and Try have, but oh, yeah. And look, on one of their next jobs, they jump into a mission to retrieve something for Bobby James. It's something that split the group of Wagner, Kane, and Millie, really getting the mission done, while Canal hangs out on her lonesome.
I can't believe it! How could you break my heart again?
With the Syndicate actually looking for Kane and Millie, as it looks to be in a way of whatever Bobby James has, as it more looks like to be a cahoots scheme by the Nightmare organization, and it looks like that, oh, yeah, well, happy that your game ended, but I gotta talk about the Nightmare Syndicate. And let's put it like this, Kane's got a pretty good bounty on his head, especially with Carly.
Any thoughts or special requests before I cut you to pieces?
In which their mission is to orchestrate what's gonna go down later on. But we have the side quest, because let's be real, this whole Slayers retrospective has had times of side questing. Because pick your poison, you want to see Kane cross-dress or do you want to see Kane ball? Well, personally, I like to see Kane ball. I mean, let's be real here when I say this. I do think that Slayers had more of the funnier episodes, but the fact that this series has given us those two things is more funny than I can ever think. Alright, I'm Joshua with you. Anyways, it's a friendly reunion with old friends with Jesse as they find Lagu's hideout and a girl named Marina. With them having some history, but better finding them with a big plan, with Lagruda, with the Death Cloud, with some space dogfights. Do we have to call it dogfights in space? I don't know. But when I tell you that the CJ was used here, yeah, you can clearly tell when it was and when it wasn't. You can definitely tell when they took the shortcuts. But we do get a very sentimental next with Kane seeing his grandmother's grave. And the reason why I put this as one of the more important episodes to put on, it's not just that, is that we kind of get the foundation of everything here that's going forth with this. Now, Kane's grandmother, Alicia, was a badass. In a lot of ways, and especially with this. The ship that Kane's has is his grandmother's. Crossblade is hers. The lights, the Cyber Blade, don't want to get copyright here, is his grandma's. And the villain of all of this is her grandma's greatest enemy. Yes, this whole episode was building up to this moment. We've seen everything from backstories to really now having stakes in the situation, Canal even saying farewell, to see this man here. This is Darkstar, and yes, the whole reason that we're watching this is just to know who the hell is Darkstar. And I hope that you rewind it to see the beginning of this, because what I am about to say, if you notice the cosmology of what was shown in the beginning of my intro, you will understand that this is the same thing that Slayers uses. It's just wasn't good quality, but it is the same thing. In the simplest of terms, is the connection to Slayer's tribe. So let me explain this. So on the DVD version of Lost Universe, there's actually a secret menu that will actually give you some things to learn about the series. And in it, there is inner documents. Inner documents that actually explains this whole entire thing, in which it is that there are 4 universes: a black, a red, a blue, and a white one. And in that case is that the black and red ones are very close together. That is the universe of Lost Universe in Slayers. Stay with me now. It puts the correlations of the deities and Slayers and the Lost Universe lost ships. You may be saying, oh, well, it's weird that you are talking about this. No, it's not weird, because if I wasn't talking about this, it would be more weirder, because pretty much in this way that they are so close. And you know what? I think this was just a big sham. I think it was just a big sham just for him to get this. I think it was just a big sham so that he can just put them together. I think it's just a big sham that you can put all of this together and say that they're connected. What's next? You're gonna tell me that Kane has personalities of Lena and Gowry? Hell, we already got one character that looks like Gowry. I might as well believe it. I already look like Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with this. And guess what? I feel duped. No, I feel bamboozled. Anyways, as we get to the mission and they get to the transporter, we actually see they're invited to our operations, or at least get a code line, because it seems like both were after the transmission and got both sides occupied, Kathy and the ship on the other. But at least the virus is cute, right? As we go through with the dogfight with Kane, must have had a war under it all, as it's leaving both of them to escape with things going with our adventures. But it does become an obsession for Kat, because look, for Kane, things look like to be a bigger problem as much as Kane tries to escape. Kathy doesn't let up with the rumbling starts and escaping, but oh god, things turn to a scary turn as it turns out to be an ambush, and to be a 3-on-1 to be, in fact, with the lost ships, and now being criminals.
Oh, nothing much. The Guardians and Nightmare, of course.
Rail, you son of a bitch. And they're even doing our future dystopia. They got debanked. They can't go anywhere. God, this means for now that they're actual outlaws now.
This machine will ruin my shopping!
Wait, this is how it just feels like when it just goes downhill with a lot of things, because Darkstar starts trying to manipulate Kane mentally. Even in a battle, he manipulates Kane by slowing down his heartbeat and just pretty much just manipulating him in a lot of ways. It even gets to the point where it's in his inner conscious and Canal actually has to help him because of it. And as an attempt, they try to save him by going into hyperspace, even though things are banged up just from that battle. And I do like how they actually put in some stakes here with knowing how strong Darkstar is, and it's going to be a more and more difficult task of just surviving. But hey, that's not a big deal. We're all in this together, right? Kane, what are you doing? Why are you leaving Millie? Son of a bitch! Alright, with that, it looks like that the bad guys are having their other plans with a corporate takeover and the gang recouping, and Millie being a fashionista. See, things aren't that bad, but it does look like Kane is caught up yet again, trying to escape, but things are looking dire. While Millie is caught on the rails as an assistant being caught up with her doing her thing. And well, besides the obvious crush that he has, we find out that he stole that ship. They catch up with the having of the situation and well, Billy's little crush on Kane. But Billy decides to join her because with the other small crimes could be worse than treason. But back on Kane, it actually looks like they're being trapped in the situation, being practically surrounded as Rail was going to give the killer blow the Darkstar to give him the pause to not do anything. Once they recover, this brings into him on a planet which he was chased down by some robots. And let me tell you this one, old SOBs. The man finds their coordinates It actually sends a beam to the ship as he is trying to find them for the ship recovery. But they do it once again in Kane's mind because of his action. But it's actually a lie, with her being alright, but getting an extra boost of energy that they escape. In escaping that, we actually start to get more wrinkles in the story. We're learning how dangerous lost ships are, with the rails dealing with the ships in particular. Yeah, screw him for making us the enemy of the state. Sadly, he's rescued by Nina, so there's good for him, I guess, but we learned about the Vol field and our cheery green hair partner in the simplest of ways, tied to Kane because of his grandmother. And Kane means business this time. After all the things that he's gone through, he's gotten stronger, and he's heading to the Red Dragon, or in this case, that fake planet, and it's where he would meet Darkstar. As they loom closer, they try to sneak attack, and so that would be their plan, and decided to attack head first because guess what? Why not? But with Carly attempting to destroy us, Kane escapes as she wants to win so much that she would even give her soul to a ship. No, I'm serious. Take a look at this.
Give me victory. In return, I'll give you my soul.
She's all machine now, as Kane shows how serious that he is, but miraculously surviving, but knowing the impact, and which looks over the guys. Anyways, we catch up to the girls and they're attempting to catch their way back to Kane and rescuing Rail, but it looks like that things are being tied up and slowly and dangerously defeated. With Kane finally getting to Darkstar, it's going to be everything that he needs to get done, because out of everything that he could do, getting bad will only get things worse because of that plot point. You see, Reddit's actually fueled by rage out of anything. So Darkstar's plan is to keep getting Kane furious and angry, in which it will fuel his plans and so he can destroy and take over. Kane, he already knows what has to go down. Disagreeing with Canal, he's going there on his own. As lightning fast to the dragon, that we get to know that Canal is good at is cheering. They get back to the fate planet to go and face Darkstar, and it looks like things can get a barrier, but it's only for small holes, and Kane says it works for me, in which he goes there by himself, promising that he will come back.
One condition, you come back to me in one piece.
But as he goes out, Rail appears to be around them, in which he gets rescued. Nonetheless, we're here for the final bout with Kane and Darkstar, in which Rail gives some important insight about the ploy about the negative energy, which I just talked about. But the thing I didn't talk about is that Billy gets teleported into it, in which we find out that her name is Millennium. And not just that, she's related to Darkstar, in which this gets the plan to go into fruition and sap out the negative energy. And if that's Millie shooting him, well, it's going to be Millie shooting him. Why? Because Pain sucks. As Millie is shooting him, not by her force, by the way. She tries to figure out a way to not, do it again, in which she nearly... Oh. Hey, who put that watermark up there? Phew, she's alright. But knowing of the situation, Canal decides to go for the kill and actually attack the main ship to help and support. I don't know why. It's been raining for days watching this. But as Kane gets on his feet and they give him one final fight, knowing her grandma's move, he actually defeats Darkstar because of it with a final slash.
Better than your grandma.
With everything going into a cyber note, we actually see that he's actually going to fix things for good, in which Kane saves the world. Yes, in one of the more somber notes, as a fun adventure this is, Kane decides to sacrifice himself for that better good. As things kind of just go back to normal for 6 months, as everything just seems fine. Millie finding her own life and, and Rel and Nina just enjoying the sunlight. Ah, who am I kidding? Kane returns. Why would they swerve you with anything like this now? And with more or less of this being my way to escape the whole Slayers thing for a little bit, especially playing those games, and oh god, those games were painful to go through after a while. Because yes, I'll keep it in kayfabe and say this, we're one part away, but doing this is the final part for me. But yeah, besides that, I really thought it was really part of its time of the 90s, especially with its color grading and how much they use CGI. I was just more surprised by that part out of anything. But yeah, out of anything that I would really say, do you really need to watch this to watch the full part of Slayers? Not really. I don't really think that there's no reason to really watch this, only because of just knowing who Darkstar is, in which I would just tell you this. I would just show you this and just give you all the explanation that you would need out of everything that I have gone. In which, yeah, this has been on your watch list for the longest. I say you might as well give it a watch because yeah, there's not a lot of stuff that's like it, unless you're talking about Gundams. Which, stay tuned. We're going to one final stop, and that's going to be looking at the comeback that they had around 2008. Which, hi, if you're watching this far, I really appreciate you watching that. I don't really have a lot of things to say. I just pretty much said what I said right there. But I know this one's kind of short for all the videos that I've done with this series so far. But hey, what are you gonna do, am I right? Anyways, leave a like on this video if you liked it. Leave a comment if you actually have something to say, or you really just want to get me that engagement. And share around so you can let everyone know that how bad my mic could be sometimes. If any of y'all want to be patrons, y'all would be right here. I don't have anyone here still, but color me surprised. I don't know if it's just me, but I actually always liked when these shows always try to predict the future and they always somehow include like weird pieces of old tech in.
You're so crazy. Love to my little friend.